Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening, depending what part of the world you're in. Welcome to a Dave Rosen conceived idea we are calling Superpowers. And Dave got that from, that's how I ask people that I know are gifted. If they have gifts, I say, so do you have superpowers? And I always mean it with great respect, and it's something that actually kind of awes me and fascinates me, and I'm in love with that these abilities beyond just the five physical senses exist among us, and seems to be building too in such great quantities. I've got a superpowers person right here with me, my technical director, Alex Hobbs. He's got technical superpowers, and turns out I have superpowers too. I've heard from my good friend Anne, and also from Lori, that I seem to send out this calm wave. So I'm kind of like Valium for people, even remotely. You know, they think about me and they get calm. So I don't know, but it's something that I think everybody can kind of connect with and hook into. You know, I think about, for example, the success and popularity of Harry Potter, and I think that's a really good metaphor for all of us. I think you know, Harry being a wizard and didn't realize he was a wizard, but he had all these abilities that were, you know, metaphysical, and I think we all have those, whether we realize it or not. And I think that's what compels us, and I think that's what attracts us to this whole notion. So there are people now that are expressing these abilities and doing it in beautiful, wonderful ways. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about those folks and get to meet them. And two people that I have worked with and enjoyed tremendously that have superpowers are Braco and Sai Maa. And Sai Maa is somebody that I met most recently and been live streaming with her, and she is amazing, and she is somebody that even I can feel it when I'm in the room. And one of my superpowers is not feeling energy, so when I do, I'm actually quite intrigued by it. So I have some Skype guests that have worked with Sai Maa for a while, and they are fairly familiar with her, and they've got their own experiences. And so I would like to go to them and have them tell us a little bit about Ma, and just inform us a little bit more about, you know, who she is and what it's like to be in her field. So I have with me first this morning, I have Doug Fisher with me, and Doug is right now he's would you say instructor, is that the right word, Doug, or presenter, or
well, one of Sai Maa's teachers, and that's a volunteer position, so it's not
yeah,
my career.
right, exactly. So anyways, I'd like to we'll just chat with Doug and find out a little about Ma through Doug. So Doug, tell me just first of all how you met Sai Maa, and just a little bit about that.
Well, there's a friend of mine who was a minister and seer who was both a friend and also I'd done some work with, and at one point, about probably, gosh, you know, 8 or so years after I first met her, she said, "Oh, you've got to meet this woman." And the first time, and she said it to me the first time. I looked at the website. I was like, you know, I wasn't that interested. 6 months later, she asked me, "Oh, you got to meet this woman." I was like, "Okay." And so I went to, and there's an other friend who had been to one of the events with Sai Maa, and I was visiting and saw her, and she said, and she kind of like got me over the hump about going. And so I went, and it was a week-long journey with about, I think it was about 300 people at the time. And so that was my first time in meeting Ma.
And so at that point in your life, and when the person was saying you should meet her, you need to meet her, what was going on? Like, you know, sort of where were you in your journey, and what put you into that, you know, energy of seeking?
Well, Good question. So I think to a degree in my entire life I've been kind of seeking. And at the time, um, I had, uh, it's about 10 years or so prior, I'd started doing yoga, and that seemed to open something up. I mean, obviously physically, but also spiritually. And I had done a initiation into Kriya. At one point, there were two books I read. One was the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, and the thing particularly I took away from that was pick some discipline and stick with it. Didn't matter which one, just pick one and stick with it. And then I also read Autobiography of Yogi, and there's something about that resonated with me. And I a few years later, did an initiation to Kriya Yoga, and then also did the Hoffman process. I don't know if you're aware of that. Mm-hmm. And then it was just, and it was a point where, I don't know, life was also a little uncertain. I was working and living in London and moved back to the States, and it was sort of like an uncertain period, and it just seemed like something worthwhile to do. And I do remember at the end of that first week, I didn't quite know what was going on, but I knew something was going on.
Right. Yeah.
So there was an incentive to keep participating, and actually with some other people there started up a meditation group, and I was living in Washington D.C. at the time, and then continued to participate in Sai Maa's programs.
Right. So now tell me, just over time, and there's been, I don't know what the duration has been, but just tell me what kinds of things you have seen, transformations, changes, things like that, in your experience with Ma, those kinds of things, and also just what you feel when you're around her, when you're with her.
Well, just to answer the second question first, one is a deep sense of peace, and also a deep gratitude, and a profound love, both love of my own and being loved, and sort of the divine nature of that. And not only, and that's definitely with Ma, but the thing that's best, and it gets kind of to your first question, is the ability to tap into that, at any time.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is the sort of beginning to master the human distortion. That's one of the ways Sai Maa talks about it. But the places the mind goes, the places the emotions go, the disruptions from whatever kind of natural state of joy and peace, beginning to have a radically different relationship with that, right. Where rather than it being, because it always, not that I don't get upset anymore, but used to be that it was always somebody else's fault.
Right.
I've been divorced twice, and that was sort of the downfall of both marriages, was, it was her fault. And sort of being able to see, it's like, oh, I'm the one who's upset.
Right.
And I could either choose to stay in the situation or not, but I'm the one who was upset.
Right.
And so really having a greater ability to free myself from the distraction, from the emotion, from the drama, and really being able to orient myself around, you could say, what's at the heart of who we truly are. To pick one thing, I'd pick love.
Right.
And so being able to bring that more to what I'm doing and the people I'm with, and with that, there's just a greater passion in life.
Yeah, which is, truly a great place to be, and somewhere that just to get into a place of peace and a feeling like there's ease and flow, and and finding a preponderance of joy versus agitation and anxiety and all. So, which is lovely. Yes,
yeah, and it's great because even this morning got upset with some things, but it's more like a I don't have a word to use, but it's more like something happens rather than there's something wrong out there I need to fix or avoid or change or whatever. It's like, oh, I got disrupted. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Nice. Well, I'll be sure to send you some calm wave too, just so that you can feel that calm, because that's. Um,
Just since you started talking.
see, yeah, so it's working, which is good. I'm just sending that volume out to the universe right now. So just real quick then, Doug, to wrap up. For somebody who hasn't met Ma and maybe isn't familiar with her, just what's something that you would like them to know about Ma and why they might want to explore further? You know, be the woman who is trying to get you to go see Ma for a second, and knowing now what you know about her, what would you want somebody else to know, and why should they explore?
Well, first thing I say first off is there's any resonance about it, definitely go see Ma. And now it's really easy with streaming for the soul, et cetera. So it's really easy if you can't physically get there. But the thing, I'd say, I think two things about Sai Maa. So first off, Ma works in the energetic domain. There's obviously talks, and she has a lot to say about a lot of different topics. She has been a wife, she's a mother, she's got, and is, has a certain level of mastery. And so she's got a wide breadth of experience, and we'll talk about almost anything. But primarily, my experience and what I've begun to appreciate over time is that Ma works with us energetically, raising our vibration. And the teaching is so that we can continue to do that for ourselves. But there are certain things that I know from my own experience, it would have been hard to have transformed, transmuted, elevated certain contractions without Sai Maa. So that's one really big gift, and one thing that I think it's definitely worth seeing Sai Maa for. Right. Another thing is also that Ma does have a certain wisdom about pretty much everything. I haven't seen very many enlightened beings talk about sex and about raising kids and about that as straight as Sai Maa is. She's just very direct and very straight, pulls no punches. We'll let you have it if you're off, and but the thing that's great about that is there's always this love that comes across. There are times where she's been very direct with me about certain things, and it's like, it's like, more, give me more, because it's an awakening. And primarily for me, the thing about Sai Maa is love, and that's what radiates most. When Sai Maa enters the room, you Karl have your own calming way, but it's like people just melt around Sai Maa.
Right.
They really just melt.
Yeah.
And the heart just opens.
Right.
And more than anything else, I think that's what to come be with Sai Maa for.
Yeah, and and I can confirm that's been my observation too, both personally, but just seeing people in the room. You watch that softening and that melting, and you just feel that expanding throughout when she comes in, and yeah. So thank you, Doug, for doing this with us, and
you're welcome.
And just love having a little bit of your journey with Sai Maa, to be able to share that with people. So thank you for joining us, and I will look forward to seeing you in Brussels.
Great. See you there.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Okay. So that was Doug, and hey, Alex, can we come over and let's get Mary next. Oh wait, I guess I can probably. Oh wait, looks like Mary is offline. Uh-oh. Well, all right. Can you get Mary, and I'll just chat for a second. So very true about Sai Maa, and just that feeling that kind of washes over when she comes in the room, and you watch that with people. And I think my first experience with her was it was in Miami, and we were there and we were live streaming, and it was Darshan, and I had really no idea what to expect. from the darshan, and essentially what it is, everybody gets a chance to meet Ma face to face. So I got into the line after, towards the end, and I remember walking up and looking at her and looking into her eyes, and it was like just the instantly being transported to inner space, outer space, simultaneously, looking into the universe. There was this vastness, and there was also just this lovely. Hi, Mary. Hey, good. Hang on one second. I'm just chatting, and then we'll bring you up. Okay. Um, and just this vastness and this warmth and this joy and this beauty, and this is just looking into her eyes, and she has this smile, and this there's just this embracing in her energy. It's beautiful. It really was. I found it extraordinary. I did, and it was not what I was expecting, and so a great experience. And we've been trying to emulate that with the streams. We use the camera, and we take the camera up as though it's the person, and we have Ma do the darshan blessing to the camera, so that she's actually doing the blessing to everybody that's on the. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thanks. Sorry. So she's doing it for everybody that's live streaming, and I know that's been very well received. People really like that because they feel like they're right there, and they get to be up close and really see Ma. And as we know, and this was true with Braco, and it's true with Ma too, that there isn't, as we perceive it, the physical space of the camera and the laptop and all that stuff. It's, just by hearing their name, just by tuning into that, you enter the field. So you really have to look at it as not, I'm in California and you're in, Miami or something, and there's a camera bringing a signal and you're watching it. It's not working like that. We're all now entered into this field. And so when we bring the camera up and Ma is looking into it, or when Braco used to gaze into the camera, people have the same sorts of transformations and the same kinds of experiences that they would if they were standing in the room with them. And which is the beauty of the live streaming, and why I like to do it, because I like being able to expand the access to those experiences for people. So, and now I've got Mary here, and Mary Sais, who is also a Sai Maa teacher, and she will be in Brussels with us this weekend as well. And I want to say hello to you, Mary. Welcome.
Hey, Carl, how are you? It's great to see you.
I'm good, good. It's nice to see you too. So I want to just jump right in and start with how you met Sai Maa, and kind of what it was, going on in your life, at the time that led you to her.
Well, I actually met Sai Maa the weekend after 9/11. It was 9/11 happened on a Tuesday, and I met Ma on a Friday. I had a friend, I'm in the energy psychology field, and I had a friend who knew of Ma and told me that there was going to be a living saint in New Jersey, of all places, New Jersey. So I actually thought my daughter needed to go, which is why my kids say that's exactly why I needed to go. But, it was after 9/11. I wasn't looking, my personality, I should say, was not looking for a guru. I was not looking for anything. I was at a point, my sister had died about 6 months earlier, and she was, at the age of 38, 39, and with 2 small children. And I was kind of at a place, my life from all the outward things looked fine and perfect, and I had a lot of, success, great husband, great kid. I mean, nothing that from the outside anyone would say, oh, but yet inside it was kind of like, what's it all about? It was that kind of a search, like, what's wrong? This planet is nuts. Where's God? Where is, like, it was just kind of that.
Right.
And so I went to see this living saint, and I wasn't hooked right away. I was too busy, saving the world and, answering emails. But here I am, this many years later. The teachings were the teachings I'd read about Saint Germain, or they were really, but I was not prepared at all for what Ma really had to offer.
Right.
Which to me is a living embodiment of divinity. That Ma will say, I'm no different than you. It's just I'm more aware. You hear Ma say that all the time.
Right.
And so to have, it's kind of like when if you were going to the Olympics and you had somebody who's like won the gold. I mean, to be in the space of that and to show you if this is what you require, and I was tired of the suffering, frankly, I'd had enough. The direct path to get there, no wavering, no, Ma, she's all, here's how it is, boom.
Right.
And it was just, I was done with suffering, done. I had done everything I possibly could to fix the planet. That didn't work. Tell everybody else what to do. That didn't work. It was just kind of like surrender, Dorothy. I mean, and it's miraculous.
Yeah.
What's happened. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's, I love that Ma says that she's no different, because that's really true. Each one of us has our own divine spark within us. And it is a matter of awareness, right down to even believing that that's true, that's
impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and then it's a matter of that journey of really remembering who you really are, and knowing that Mary Seiss is not who you are. And that body is not who you are. Those are things that you have, and your personality is something you have, but it's not who you are. And you really literally are just kind of like this little character in this play wandering around on the planet. And the real you is up here observing what the you on the planet is doing, and
Right.
Getting feedback.
Right.
There's that feedback loop going on. And
Well, it's only a feedback loop if you listen. I was really good at telling
yeah.
my higher self what I thought was wrong down here. There was that saying, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace in an advisory capacity. That was my prayer, like my higher self didn't get through. So that's why Ma showed up. She kind of like, wake me up a little bit.
Yeah, I want to be on the board of directors of what's going on here, and yeah.
So we're missing a few points down here. It's crazy. Yes, and when you realize that. And
Yeah.
the other thing that happens with Ma, and you've spoken of Darshan, and I hope many people watch your Streaming of the Soul to watch it, because what Darshan is not a blessing. Darshan is actually a sighting, a sight of the divine. And what happens is the Ma goes to a very, very high state, and then from that state awakens within you. It's like a candle coming up to a fireplace, and it awakens and this divinity that might be dormant in you. Like for some people, their divinity is more, it's been more awakened. So it depends on your range, but the
Right.
divinity is within you. And
Yeah.
so when you come up and you're actually seen by Ma, and it could be on your show, it's same, but it that awakens in you.
Right.
So if you ever can go to a darshan of any great master, go to darshan, because
Yes.
it's something happens and your brain won't get it. It'll be like, well, that was nothing, or what, it'll do what most people's. Yeah, we just can't get it from the third dimension down here with our senses. It's beyond senses. But yeah, it's much different. And bring children. That's the other thing. Bring children for this awake. I wish somebody brought me early.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
I wouldn't be such a mess of things, but whatever. It's taken me so long to get where it is now. Where what happens is these layers of doubt and unworthiness and shame begin to just drop away. They just drop away.
Yeah.
And the more you're in the space of an enlightened master, because everything's energy, it raises your vibration. Just like as we know, when you're in the space of somebody who's crabby, it can lower your vibration. You
Right.
know, it's how easy it is to, because we resonate with all different frequencies. Well, we also have these divine frequencies within us that begin to resonate with the divinity that Ma is the full expression of.
Yeah.
And that's why to be in Ma's space, aside from the teachings, which are phenomenal, and they'll just put your, you turn your life upside down, because it's exactly what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
To be in the space of Ma is it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so Mary, would you have maybe a specific darshan experience, or just a specific moment in your journey with Ma that really stands out for you? Just any sort of aha moments, or is it more kind of seep in through the cracks and infiltrate?
Well, no, I'm a little bit like you. I don't have the superpowers of, you know, I would say to people who like, oh, and then I saw Michael the Archangel, and I want to like smack him. She wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, not very holy of me, but so no, for mine, my experience with Ma is more of a knowingness, and then trusting my knowingness. What's fun about being with Ma, especially if you go to the program, Ma's amazing program, The Journey of Profound Healing, where you're in a very small group, is Ma will say things to you that you're like, oh my God, how did she know that? Oh my, really? She knows that. She was there. Like, she'll say things to me that I know there's no way you could know that.
Right.
Like, no way. Really?
Yeah.
You know, it's like nobody could have told you that. And so it shakes you out of your belief that this is all there is. So I love when she does that to me,
Mm-hmm.
as much as it shakes me. But I just love it when you get a zinger on just something like,
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Like, you knew that? You know, and she will just laugh or say, just passing by, or, you know, in Ma's style.
Yeah.
And I love those things,
Yeah.
because it really moves you beyond this belief that you're just this little lost, limited thing, and there is no God. There is no. It just moves. It just shakes your whole world
Yes.
of what's possible.
Yeah.
And to think that someone would come to the planet to wake us up like that, and you know, we've had many. And to be blessed enough to be in the space of that and watch it happen over and over again, it's really my favorite thing to watch.
Yeah.
Is just it just rocks your world, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a lot of those.
So you're in Brussels right now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
and you'll be leading the sessions on Saturday. So just tell us briefly, because we need to wrap up soon. But just briefly, you know, what we're looking forward to then this weekend, and the legacy of you.
Okay, so Doug and I are teaching this weekend, so we have
Yes.
a great program for you. We're really going to expand legacy beyond what what we think on the third dimension on planet Earth, what legacy is. You know, a building with my name on it. Well, I think that would be lovely, but that's not really what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the legacy of you and your energy and your words and your thoughts. To take legacy and just expand it, and talk about that, and then talk about what did your soul come to leave on the planet, and really having you look deeper into that. Like, why did I come here?
Yeah.
What's my soul here to do?
Right.
Or what was my soul's kind of bright idea of saying, I think I'll go down there, and yeah, who cares if I pick those parents? They'll, you know, really, you know. So what lights you up, and how do I get in touch with that? And how do I remove all the blah blah that stands between me and my soul?
Yeah.
And what my soul, the legacy my soul is looking to live. So
Right.
that's what Doug and I will be speaking of. And then on Sunday, although you can't live stream these, we have what's called a Transformational Healers program that I'm actually the program director for, and we'll have a day for healers. But we can't tape those because so many activations go out to healers. Ma really supports the healers on this planet in terms of creating programming for them and giving them activations of light to expand them, so that just like Ma and Braco, we can be these vehicles where the light just pours from us to serve. So you're serving in a totally different way. So that we have a Healer's Day the next day, which I'll be teaching at. But Doug and I will be talking about the legacy, and then of course we have Darshan, and then in the evening on Saturday night we have chanting and question and answer, and you can ask Ma any question. Ma can speak on anything, and you never know what Ma will say because she just tells she speaks the truth no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's really always entertaining, and it's just again just being energetically in Ma's space, you will resonate and leave expanded.
Yeah.
And that, and then the more you do that, the more you can stay in that state.
Right.
More and more and more and more till that becomes your, that's, you're not just visiting. It's kind of, sometimes I'll say to people, it's like going to the ocean. You're not just visiting there. Eventually you get a house and you stay there and you live there.
Mm-hmm.
But for some of us, we haven't even visited it yet, but it's what you want to be in Ma's space as much as you can.
Yeah.
So I really hope your listeners will watch the show and come and be with Ma.
I hope so too. I do too, because it's a wonderful, beautiful experience. And so, thank you so much, Mary, for taking a minute. And I know it's nighttime there in Brussels, and you're winding up your day. So, thank you for being with us and for chatting a little bit. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple days.
Great. Okay, Carl. I'll see you then.
Okay. All right. Bye. So that kind of winds up our talk about Sai Maa, and it really is a beautiful experience. And a couple of things that Mary was saying, she was reminding me of, and that I've noticed, and that I love is Ma is so aware, and she is so tapped in. So people will ask her questions, and she'll start talking to them, and she just starts telling them, who they are. Because she sees it, and she sees all of that, and you just see kind of the layers of the belief systems and the baggage and all the stuff kind of start falling away as they're talking to her, because you can't bring your camouflage with you, and not if you want to really move forward and remember who you are. That's you got to leave that stuff at the station and jump on a new train. So all great. And beautiful experiences, and I love that. So we've got now to move on to Braco, and Braco is somebody that I have been a part of his field for 4 years, actually longer. Started back in I guess it was October of 2009. First met Braco, and have had an extraordinary journey with him, and that went from the simple creation of the very first DVD that Jane and I made with him, called The Gaze of Light. That was kind of our entree into Braco's world, into Jane organizing live events for 2 years, and the eventual development of live streaming for Braco, which we did then for 2.5 years. And again, with Braco, and the same with Ma, that effect with the live streaming and how that how people respond to that. There isn't any real difference between that and being in the room. And it was a wonderful, wonderful way to expand the reach of Braco and Braco's gaze, to people who were seeking that access to that sort of relief in their lives for whatever challenges they may have been having. To hear the stories and the testimonials. And after 2.5 years, they were just, I can't even count them all. So I want to talk a little bit about Braco, and I have some Skype guests to help me with that now. And the first one is Scott Robinson. And I met Scott visually for the first time on Paradigm Shift. And I got footage for that, and he was giving a testimonial with his mom, Hinda. And it's funny because I didn't meet him until in person until much later, and since then I've enjoyed a wonderful relationship with Scott. So I'm going to see if we can get him on the line here real quick, and Scott can tell us a little bit about what his experiences have been like. If you've been, hey Scott, I'm just introducing you here, so give me 1 second, I'll finish up, and then. But if you've seen Scott and any of his testimonials, oh, hang on 1 second. We're asking to do that. One of the things that Scott did with testimonials was get up and just talk about how his time with Braco had really helped him through some physical pain and gave back some ability that he had lost, and I'll just let him give you more details about that. So I want to just say hi, Scott. Welcome. How are you?
I'm breathing at the same time.
Yeah.
I get up out of bed in the morning.
All right. All good. All good.
Right.
And expressing who you are in that physical form.
This is true.
Yeah.
And you're right. I stood up in February of 2013 and I shared how Braco was my medicine, and that I listened to his voice on a regular basis, and whenever he was in the area and I could get there, I would go to see him in LA or San Diego. You see me when I used to use a walker to get up to his to stand the podium. You've seen me go in the front. Now I stand and run back. I let other people go in the front. Doesn't mean I still don't have my physical issues, but I have. Even the doctors didn't know what to do with me, because on Braco's birthday in 2012, in the middle of an MRI, my back turned on with heat, and they took me out of the MRI and said, I don't understand. You've had 4 MRIs before this. They all were getting worse. Now you're 80% improved. We don't know what to do with this. I tried to tell her what it was about, and she said, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It'll get me in trouble. Whatever works, fantastic. So that's what happened, and that's actually we actually met each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So
tell me, Scott, how did you discover Braco? What do you think it was that led you to him? And I know because of some experiences that you had, that you'd been seeking a lot of different healing modalities. But how did you find Braco?
After my second near-death experience, I was told by the angels that stood next to me that I would learn a simple technique and share that with other people. So I was waiting. At first, I was introduced to the Bruno Gruning Circle of Friends, and the two persons that introduced me were Claudia Karenbauer and Chris Rungay. And about a year into the Bruno Gruning Circle of Friends and learning how to do Einstellen, and I had received some partial healings there as well, Claudia and Chris said, you've got to see this healer. You've got to meet him. I mean, as far as healers go, this is really high energy, intense, quick, and it will make you feel a lot better. So that was in 2009 when Braco had met you and your wife, and he was already in Hawaii, and he was coming to California and the West Coast in early spring of 2010. In April, when he came to the Beverly Hills, I think it was called the Gardner Hotel, the 23rd, I couldn't physically make it there, so Nancy and Dick Weaver, working with Chris Rungay, took my pictures of myself and my mom and my dad, and we began already to have a healing, and I haven't physically been in the location yet. So they called me up and said, did you feel anything? And I said, I sure did. I mean, I'm walking better. So they invited me back, and we were at the Marriott at the airport at the LAX the next time, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I sat next to Michelle Kearney, and she was the first person I sat next to that day. And she sat down for the first time. She was telling me her story, and we sat there the whole day gazing with Braco, and both of us were beginning to feel better. And I had to go home the next day and take care of my dad, and my mom came up, and we both came up with walkers. And both times when my mom came up, she sat next to Michelle Kearney as well. And we both went home without needing the walkers. And of course, we kept in contact with Michelle, and she had a miraculous healing. And then that's how we were initially introduced. That's how we met Braco and began to feel it. And it's like, please, whenever you're here, I'm coming back. Can you come up more often? And in those days, he came about, I guess, once every 3 months, 2-3 months. And we saw him in June, and then we saw him in August, and we saw him in October. And then you took him on the road, and we saw him at Reverend Michael's church. And then the next day I came home after seeing the angels appeared to me in October, telling me that the contract with my father had been completed. And I said, what does that mean? They said, you won't be taking care of your dad anymore. And then the next day, I think that was the 18th, you had the first live streamings that came out of that event that were done publicly live.
At Agape,
you had done them at Mount Agape Church. And my dad had a healing at that from the first gaze, and Braco did a double gaze that time. It was 10 full minutes. My dad had a healing. He had healings from 2 strokes that he had and some of the dementia that was going on. He was able to talk much better, and for the next 6 hours after the Braco gazing, my dad spoke and spoke about all the wonderful things that had happened and what he couldn't tell us over the last 2 years. And then he told my mom and myself that he didn't have long to go, that he wasn't going to be here much longer, that something was wrong in his head and he didn't have much time, and he wanted to make sure that everything was okay with my mom, and she was waiting for some insurance policy. The next day, my dad fell down, ended up at the hospital, got an infection. He was down at San Diego Hospice. We told him that mom had received the money that we was waiting for, and then he checked out. And that was the thing. And most people don't talk about this with Braco, but when a healer is really powerful, he can not only help you stay on the planet if it's your time to stay, like Michelle, but he can also help you leave. He can help you exit earlier. And in my case, for my father, he didn't want to stay any longer because he was going to have to go to a nursing home, and he didn't want to do that. So he opted out for the first door going home, and he left. But since then, every time we have a Braco gazing or Braco's in town, my dad comes back to visit from the other side and tell us what's going on. And then, of course, we've had a lot of changes. You've seen me and my changes and my mom's changes since we've here. My mom had some changes. She went in for surgery the week before she came to the Braco gazing in February of 2013. And if you remember, she stood up on stage and she had holes all over her body and scabs and on her face where they had burnt things off. And 24 hours after that gazing with Braco, all the scabs fell off and my mom's skin looked beautiful. And we went home with a pussy willow tree that continued to live up until just a few months ago when we had the fires. But it had lived for an entire 18 months after that, and it was in a pot and had rooted. So that's the miraculous stuff we've experienced with Braco. And of course, we've had some wonderful things going on experience-wise, helps and healings. We all wear sunseis. I'm looking or feeling for mine. Anytime I've had any owies, I put them on my owies. Yeah. We have miniature Braco pictures. Right. I think you can see behind me, there's a couple pictures of Braco.
Yeah, I see Braco there. Yep, up on the dresser. Yeah. I do.
And then my mom got one of these things. How would you like to have sunsei for $100? And it just so happened my mom found $100, and she got her sunsei for $100 rather than for whatever it is that they were asking for at the time. So my mom asked for a miracle. Can I get a sunsei for $100? And somebody offered her one. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
And I know that you've been around a lot of people with superpowers, and most people don't know your own superpower or Dave's superpower. But yes, you do seem to be. You seem to attract people who have these super gifts, and mine has been there before Braco, but it's been amped up even more.
Right.
You've met me and seen when these people start to tell me things, and of course, one of the special gifts is I talk to people from the other side. They've died, crossed over, shared some messages, and we help their family members be aware of the things. I don't know if I told you about the one where the man came back who had died and wanted to make sure his wife had the insurance policy. She didn't even know there was an insurance policy. And she found a key, and we told her where to go. And my other friend Tiffany and I both have this gift. And like I said, it's been amped up since Braco. and she found out there was a $100,000 life insurance policy. She paid off the house, and that was just the connection to the other side. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so hopefully all these wonderful things. I thank you for the invitation today. What
Oh,
else should we want to share with it?
well, just real quickly, because having met you, and knowing what your journey was like, and you had your two near-death experiences, and we do need to wrap up real quickly, but we're taking advantage of some of your superpowers as well as just some of your personal journey, and we're actually doing a project with you that's going to be on Streaming for the Soul, called Alchemy of Healing. And
Correct.
just real briefly, why don't you just tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. It's alchemyofthehealingtv.com. It introduces the people who are watching and the crew to integrative, alternative, complementary, and spiritual, medical, legal issues. And we filmed that with you and Dave, and we filmed that already, and the show's in progress and production. And it brings in all the neatest people, including the physical world and the integrative world, as well as Bruno Bruning and Braco and all these other wonderful healers and Francis that we're going to have on. It brings in the near-death experience issues. It has all these wonderful things and wonderful people to share with the world, and that'll be coming out hopefully later this summer on StreamingForTheSoul.tv and StreamingForTheSoul.com. Again, it is Alchemy of Healing TV, and we'd love to see you there.
Yeah.
So, Ben, thank you very much for allowing me to share the story, and hopefully your story will get out there to help others.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this with us, Scott. And that's the whole idea, is to try and just expand the awareness of the possibility that there is something beyond the five physical senses and perceiving the world just solely from that. So thank you for being with us, and appreciate it. And talk to you soon. Much love to you. Much love to your mama.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
So that's pretty typical of stories with Braco. It's just over and over. I would hear them from so many different people, and I love hearing it. And he's amazing. And so thank you, Scott, for that. And now I want to move to our next guest, who is another person with superpowers, and she has also been to a number of Braco events, and I met her for the first time in Phoenix, and I'm very excited that she's here with us to tell you a little about her experiences with Braco. So let's welcome Ann Albers. Hey, Ann,
Hi,
how are
good to be
you?
here. Yeah, good to be here.
Well, we love having you, and we love that you've been to a lot of Braco events, so you bring just a lot of experience and different kinds of events with you. So tell us a little bit about, the first time I saw you was in Phoenix. So tell us a little bit about how you got to your first Braco event, because it's a fun story, actually.
It is a funny story. Clients have been telling me about Braco for over 4 years, ever since he was in Sedona, in fact, in 2009. They know I love energy. I talk to angels for a living. But it had never been the right time. I do everything by guidance. I do everything by heart. So once again, February of 2013, everybody started emailing me, Braco's in town, but I had clients all day, and they wait for months or years sometimes to get in to see me, so I didn't want to cancel them. Anyhow, fast forward, that was on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'm sitting in my hairdresser's chair, and what does she say to me? I saw Braco yesterday. I'm like, I missed him again. And she smacks me on the arm, and she says, he's still here today, you should go. And that put me into quandary, because I had a very old dog at home that I needed to go take care of. I had actually set aside the afternoon to write one of my books that I've been putting off forever. But I shut my eyes and I said, okay, God, what do you want me to do today? And I heard go. So I looked at my hairdresser. I said, I got to go. I left. I paid her. I left with a wet head, drove an hour down, because you guys were in South Gilbert, I think. Followed the energy into the hotel room, even though I couldn't see any signs, and just sat down and went, this is going to be fun. All the way driving down there. I live in Phoenix, so the sun is hot, but it was boring a hole into my solar plexus. It was coming through the windshield, and it was just, I've never felt that kind of heat, so I thought, this is really going to be fun. Anyhow, when he first came out, I sat there with just an open mind. I didn't really have any expectations. And I literally saw with my eyes open what I usually only see in meditations that I guide others in. I saw white light just pouring off his body in waves, hitting the crowd. And every time it would hit someone, I'd see the light in them start to glow and come up and out until we were just swimming in this sea of white light. I started experiencing a feeling as if I was in the ocean. You ever in the ocean, you're bobbing in the waves? And all I could do was smile like an idiot because it felt so good. It felt like my best meditation ever, where I've popped into heaven. I haven't died physically, but I've had wonderful experiences with the angels where I've popped into heaven, and there I was grinning like an idiot, experiencing heaven on earth. So it was magnificent. And now, at that moment, I knew why all my clients had been trying to get me to go for 4 years. But I think I had to be ready. I think there were things in my own life that I had to grow into so that I could fully experience this energy.
So a lot of times people will talk about when they go to Braco, and especially when it's the first time that they have actually gone to see Braco, they'll say that they could feel the energy before they actually even got into the room. Sometimes they talk about just having made the decision to go and see Braco, and things start happening, and maybe they'll have dreams, or maybe the transformations that they've been waiting for start to happen. But I'm also really amazed by the ones who, they're getting out of the car in the parking lot and they feel it already. There's not even a session going on, but they feel it. Is it like that for you?
Yeah, literally. I mean, literally in my hairdresser's chair, go, and then I'm in the car, and this sunburst of light is glaring in my eyes from the car ahead, and I learned later about the sun symbol. I didn't even know that. The sun's burning a hole in my solar plexus. I get out of the car, and without thinking, it was like a bee following an energy line. I just followed the energy, and I feel things. I mean, that's normal for me. So I just literally felt like I'd hopped in the stream, and off I went. I didn't even have enough time to have dreams, obviously. I had about an hour from the hairdresser's chair to the hotel, but I felt it. And it was so interesting because everything was so synchronous. I sat down and had some time to chat with the lady next to me. And I was telling her I'd pray for all her relatives, and we were swapping stories and stuff. And then you find out later that's what we're encouraged to do, So, right. Of course, there were just one synchronicity after the next, and I ended up getting up to share the very first gaze because nobody else would, and I always have a big mouth if nobody else will. And but it was magnificent because I really started to experience viscerally and at the human level things that I had only experienced at the spiritual level before. And then I started to have physical healings weeks later, and it just went on and on and on in terms of the goodness that opened up in this energy.
Tell me a little bit about that, experiencing experiencing physical healings, and just I'm real interested in just some of the transformations that have taken place for you after having gone to see Braco.
Well, first I'll start with some really tangible ones. I didn't know this was the case until 3 weeks afterwards. I only had time to do 2 gazes that first time. And I mean, I was only going to do one, and then like a roller coaster, you got to get back on and go for another ride. It was awesome. So I go home and I'm thinking, well, that feels wonderful. I'm higher than a kite in a good way, with spirit. But 3 weeks later, I discovered that period pains I'd had my entire life since I was 12 years old, and I won't tell you how many years that is, were gone. Just gone. And I mean, I would have kissed the ground someone walked on for getting rid of those. I hadn't even asked about that. Gone. Yeah. In subsequent... Can't talk now, I get so excited. Anyhow, in subsequent gazes in other cities, I was in the middle of one live stream. I was in Portland, I had gazed live, and then I was in my room live streaming the next day. And I literally heard my inner voice say, your thyroid's fixed, because I had a little imbalance there. I was always cold. And I went home, and sure enough, my thyroid was fixed, back in balance. I had twisted intestines, and my internal organs had gotten pushed out of place, which was excruciatingly uncomfortable. And I was in the middle of a gaze, and I kind of have to show you this. My stomach was out of whack, and I literally felt this flop. And things went back where they belonged, which, of course, made it much easier to eat good things. That was last year right before Easter, and I was very excited because I could eat my whole Easter meal. And pains disappearing. My neck is cracked in the middle of sessions and realigned my back. Clients have told me amazing stories. In fact, this last round of live stream gazes, I've got a wonderful Facebook friend in New York. She's a chef, and she had a shoulder problem. If you can imagine, chopping stuff with a shoulder problem is really tough. she did just a few live stream gazes, and then I got an email saying my pain's gone. I was able to chop, and she listed off the thousands of vegetables she chopped that night for her restaurant. You know, and I just hear story after story. Had another client.
Can just tell me real quick about, because you've done live streaming too. So,
yes, lots of it.
So
Hundreds.
the live streaming effect versus being in the room. Just tell me what you notice, if there's any difference, or what you think about that.
Well, I think it's all the same energy, and my personal perspective, which is not scientifically proven, is that Braco's like a tuning fork. He does transmit a certain energy, but he attunes himself to it. And the minute that we connect with him any way we want, whether it's via one of your DVDs or whether it's a live stream, the minute we connect with him, we're connecting with the energy that he's standing in. So it works to me just the same whether it's live or live stream. And in fact, live stream, you kind of get a close-up. So, you know, you get it, you get the gaze all 5 minutes, because when he's live, you know, he's scanning the whole crowd. So in one way, live stream gives you like more personal time. Now, granted, the energy only needs a split second to work, but we're human, so we kind of like that connection.
Right. So, all right. So, believe it or not, we're kind of getting close to the end here of our chat. But I want to talk a little bit about you and your superpowers, because see, Anne has great superpowers, and she is psychic, and she's a medium, and she is an animal communicator, and she has a great connection with angels. And Dave and I visited Anne in Phoenix, gosh, what was that, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, right?
No, actually, it was just last August, September.
Oh, it was just last August. Oh.
Yeah, you were there with Braco.
That's right. Okay. And we were talking to her, and we're finding out all these things. She was kind enough to take us on a tour of Phoenix so that we could shoot some B-roll footage for the Braco event that we were going to live stream there. And as we learned more, we definitely got very interested. And so we decided that at some point we wanted to try and do a show with Anne, and that little project has started, and we have shot our first episodes of Anne and the Angels. And Anne, so tell us a little bit about just your show real quickly, and sort of how you see it, and what it's based in, and how you see it moving forward.
Well, one of my greatest joys is teaching, because I believe, you know, you talk about superpowers, I believe they're latent in everybody. I believe we all came equipped, so to speak, but maybe some of us have it more naturally than others, and some of us have learned to turn them on more easily than others. And I want to teach people that anyone can learn to live in partnership with their angels. You can learn to tune into your intuition. We all came equipped with different psychic senses. You can learn how angels think and perceive life, because it's a lot different than human. And if you can learn to see life that way a bit more yourself, you're going to be a lot happier. It's just enriched my life in so many ways that I'm bursting to share it. The show is going to be segmented in 12-week chunks, and each 12 weeks will cover a certain topic. So our first 12 weeks is, of course, how to live in partnership with the angels in terms of how you communicate with them, how to develop a relationship with them. After that, we're going to do manifesting with the angels. After that, I don't know. We're going to see what they have in store for us. So it's going to be a progression of learning to live to receive when working with them.
Well, I think, and I know this because I was running the camera and doing the film work while you were doing the show, and it's great. And I loved it because it is just such a nice step-by-step progression, and it builds, and I think that you're so clear in what you say, and your analogies and the exercises are all great. It's really going to be a lot of fun for everyone, and so I'm looking forward to when we get that up and running. And we did pick an air date.
Yep, August 13th.
That's right, August 13th.
We're video on demand.
That's right. So yeah, so we'll stream it, and it will also be available as a video on demand, and on sfts.tv.
Yay! Yeah.
So,
and you know what? One more thing I want to say about the show. I did not anticipate this when we were filming, But the angel energy in that room was so strong that I could not even see the lens of the camera through the white light. So I don't know what people are going to be receiving on their end, but I do know there was a lot of love coming through. So I hope that as people are watching it, they can feel what I was feeling, because the heart energy was just so beautiful. And if anyone could get just a taste of that, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah. I know they will. They will totally get
Good.
a taste of it.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this with us and for sharing your Braco experience and telling us a little bit about you. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll chat with you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Take care.
All righty. Okay. So that was Ann Albers, and just great to have her be here with us. And I know that because I've seen her at so many Braco events, and she gets just high as a kite, and she does share a lot of her experiences, and it's wonderful. And she's got a really good connection with Braco, and looking forward to her show too. It's going to be great, and I loved filming it, and it was, as she said, really wonderful energy, and it's going to be great. So we're running a little long here, so I want to just jump real quick to who will be our last guest for this morning's show. And I know that we talked about that we were going to have Ann Albers, and I pre-recorded my segment with Ann yesterday because she wasn't available today. She's using her superpowers to help people in Phoenix right now. But so we pre-recorded something, and tech was not our ally this morning, and it just isn't ready. So we'll have that. We're going to restream this tonight at 7:45 to 8 o'clock Pacific time, and Ann will be in that segment, and she'll join us for that. And but so we are going to now jump to another good friend from Braco, and she also comes bearing her superpowers, and she's quite amazing. She is a psychic, and she's a medium, and she is an animal communicator, and she is very tapped in and very very aware, and seems to be awakening to who she really is very well too. So let me get her on Skype right now, and we will have a nice little chat with Dr. Lori Moore. And Jane and I think first met Lori well, I was still in Hawaii, I know, and so we've known Dr. Lori Moore for quite a bit, and here she is now. So we'll just jump right in and say hi, Lori.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So I want to just jump right in and just ask you, how you first met Braco, and kind of what was going on in your life at the time, and what you think it was that brought you into that field.
Sure. I had this beautiful organization. It was called the Love Climate, and it had been called the Miracle Ground before. So I was traveling all over the Hawaii Islands and to Europe and all over the States, and lots of people were coming and experiencing shifts and awakenings and miracles, and my body was slowly really wearing down because I was working all the time, day and night. I wasn't sleeping enough. I wasn't eating enough because my heart was so on fire, and I felt this deep soul passion to give something that I didn't understand, that I needed to be more humble to my body and the limits I had. So I ended up in a very, very compromised, sacrificed state, and I really thought I wasn't going to live for a while. I was just really, the disease was burnout. Like the acupuncturist said my organs were shutting down, like there was nothing left. And I talked to other people in this kind of field of spiritual awakening or transformation, thinking, what's wrong with me? How come they don't go through that? And of course, many revealed they'd all been through it, and that I really needed to learn my limits. But what I needed was someone to heal me.
Right. Yeah.
I needed to learn my limits, but I didn't know how to get back. My vitality, my physical vitality was gone. My heart was still alive, and my physical vitality was just zapped really, really bad. So that I think I know what it's like to be 90 years old. And I mean, doing anything. So my organization, I had to let go of that format. And I started having little events in my living room, and a wonderful woman named Deb, who was assisting for Braco, said, you need to go to San Francisco. Braco's coming, and you have to watch and see how the people who organize Braco do this. And I didn't really know I was going, because I thought, well, you'll be busy organizing Braco, you won't have time to talk to me. But I just felt like, yeah, I need to be there.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, both of my problems, my physical situation and my situation of no longer being able to run my organization and needing it to completely rebuild, were healed. For me, it wasn't like zap, wham, I went back and everything was fine. It was a very gradual process. Once I met Braco, the people I needed to meet kept falling in place, and the naturopath I really needed to meet after I've gone to about 30 people that couldn't help, who I needed to meet, who helped bring me back to life. All the right people started coming in to my life. Everything started rebuilding. It was like I kind of switched my paradigm, and the misassumptions and misconfusions that kept me in a paradigm that had worked and served many, but ultimately wasn't taking care of me, had to all change. And that was the starting point, to be in that beautiful environment where there are so many superpowers being brought out, because of course Braco uses his superpower, he lives it. And then there was Jane, just her energy was like sunshine, so bright, filling the room. And there was your energy, like the broadcaster, just wave of wave, going out, and calming the people, and just extending. So it was a fabulous experience when I first got there, and it was wave upon wave that went with me for the next few years, shifting and altering what was happening with my world.
Wow, that's huge, and that's kind of it's funny, because when people think about healers, or you just say healer, and that's used for Braco a lot. People are thinking, broken arm gets better, or a damaged spleen is working better, or and we've seen lots of amazing things happen. Brain tumors vanishing, and just the migraines going away, and lifelong allergies going away, that kind of stuff. But also, what heals is just kind of our way through life and how we're doing things, and and sometimes that's relationships, and sometimes that's those are work things, and there's many different ways that a transformation can come in and set you on a better set of tracks through your life.
In the work that I do, all my work is the miracles people are having are emotional, spiritual, mental life changes, and sometimes, or many times, the byproduct is physical, but for myself, I'm not directed towards that, and that's not why people come to me. So when I had that breakdown of my organization and my body, I had wonderful teachers, spiritual teachers, who had taken me into these beautiful awakenings, but I actually needed some help with how to be a manifestation teacher and really take it to the next level of understanding, which is what I really credit Braco for. And that level of understanding, it's not really intellectual. It's like I was a tree with all these different branches that needed fine-tuning and cleaning and help, so my practical, my physical, biological being could really continue to represent my soul calling.
Right. And so I'm glad you moved into that a little bit, because we are working on a project with you as well, and we are taking advantage of your superpowers as well, which is I think just really great and really fun. And so we have done a project with Lori, and where she is using her beautiful gifts to continue kind of that legacy, with Braco and other people who transform lives, and she's helping them with that. And she is both a psychic and medium, and just a beautiful soul. So her show is called Akua Lono. And tell us just a little bit about your show, and then we'll also just let people know when they're going to see it, which is very, 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 very soon.
Yeah, Akua Lono, we went through hundreds of names till it was just like both of us said, yes, this is it.
Yes, that's right.
And the meaning of this show is the fertility, the underlife, the love, the oneness that combines all of us, the God of whatever name you use, whatever spirituality, religion, no spirituality, religion, that is that connecting point of love where all our hearts are one, but each of us, each person and animal is completely unique. And when someone needs a shift, a change, it can be completely different for anyone, but you're welcome to come and receive that assistance by coming on the show. And
Right.
like Carl said, it's just been fun and playful, which was my prayer that if I ever did a TV show, it would be so joyful and the group working on it would have fun.
Yeah. Well, we had a blast, and it's really it's a great show, and I love the format. It's people are coming in and they can Skype or they can come and be in studio with us, and they just say this is what's going on and help. And so and it was very gratifying and also just really fun to do. So we're going to be airing the first episode of Akulono actually tonight here on StreamingForTheSoul.tv and SFTS.tv starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Daylight Time. And totally excited to do this and have it out there. And again, creating just more access in different ways for people to get relief from whatever sorts of challenges or just whatever transformation they might be seeking at this moment.
And animals are welcome too. And thank you so much, Carl, and everyone who's creating this community of all these healers and listeners. It's everyone's superpowers. It's everyone's energies. Even when you don't know you have superpowers, you all do. And we're all creating this together. So I'm so grateful to be part of it. Thank you.
All right, sending you the calm wave now. Calm wave. Here it comes. Did you get it? Okay. I'll have to keep practicing.
I'm sorry, you broke up. The Skype just broke
up.
I can't,
I
can't hear you.
I was sending you the calm wave.
Oh, good. I always get the calm wave from you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes. All right, Lori. Well, thank you so much for being with us and for just sharing about your experiences with Braco and also your superpowers. And we're going to look forward to seeing you tonight at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay. Bye, Lori.
Bye-bye.
And that's it for us for today. And I know we're running a little long, so I'm just going to wrap up quickly. But gosh, it's so fun. Don't you like this, Alex, to just come and just chat about superpowers?
I love superpowers.
Yeah, it's really, it's actually very cool. And I like getting the idea about that out there, and also getting people to sort of tap into what their own superpowers may be. And I think that just through talking about it and letting everybody know that it's possible and they probably have them, and to start looking for them is a really good thing, because the more one awakens, the more we all awaken. So thanks for being here with us, and we're going to do this again because it's really fun, and we'll let you know when the next episode of Superpowers is going to be. So thanks for tuning in.